Okay, well, we are live on YouTube, and I am Helen McAlery, and I am the California Library Association president, and I am here today with Jennifer Addington. Jennifer, tell us who you are, what do you do for work, and what are you working on with CLA?
Great. Hi, Helen. Well, thank you so much for having me on today. My name is Jennifer Addington. I'm the Deputy Director at the Palos Verdes Library District, and I am also the current chair of the CLA Legislative and Advocacy Committee. So I think we're going to talk about some advocacy issues today.
Yes, we definitely are. So first of all, can you start by telling us exactly what the Advocacy and Legislation Committee is and what is the work that you do?
Sure, no problem. Well, the Legislative Committee is comprised of CLA members that are interested in advocating for libraries and library issues. We are all appointed to the committee, and we serve a 4-year term. The advocacy is one of 4 standing committees within CLA. So we are here to establish and maintain a legislative network for CLA and all of its members. We work to keep the members informed about what's going on in the state and federal legislation. We're here to promote legislative and advocacy issues, understand what the membership needs are and what the state of California's issues might be, and then kind of to bring everybody together and learn about what is going on and then get that information out to the membership as a whole. We meet on a monthly basis. We bring in representatives from the California State Library, from a multitude of other organizations, and we bring up issues that may affect libraries. We bring them to the executive board, to the president, yourself. We also do things like organize our day in the district, which is an opportunity for librarians throughout California to go out and actually meet with their legislators. One of the things that we're talking about now, we are a co-sponsor on, and we're very excited about, is SCA 3, State Constitution Amendment 3, which was introduced by Senator Bill Dodd from Napa.
Some of you might not know exactly what that means and what it is.
Absolutely. So what SCA 3 is, as I said, it's a state constitution amendment. It was introduced by Senator Bill Dodd out of Napa, and it seeks to lower the voter threshold for library construction bonds from its current 2/3 to a straight 55%. So in California, the Constitution requires cities and counties and school districts to obtain voter approval if they take out a long-term debt, if they want to do a rebuild or reconstruction. You can't just arbitrarily raise taxes in order to get more money. And a lot of organizations, a lot of libraries don't have the money that it takes to maybe redo a wing or redo maybe a whole library. So they go out and they get what's called a bond. But in order to do that, they have to get 2/3 of the voting public to agree on that. So what this does is it says, hey, in California, school districts, community colleges, county offices, they only have to get 55%. So maybe public libraries can be recognized in the same way and lower the threshold from 2/3 to 55. So that's basically what this is. And what we're doing is we're encouraging all librarians when they do their day in the district meetings to talk about this, how it would benefit libraries, to send letters. I'm sure anybody viewing this has seen on the CLA webpage or on Calyx various different calls to action. This is one of our big calls to action because it would make a big difference to libraries across the board if they had a better opportunity to get the funds they needed to make really important improvements to our infrastructure. So that's basically, in a nutshell, what SCA 3 is.
This is great, and I think some people might also know that a few years ago, redevelopment funding was taken away from local jurisdictions, which further limited the ability of local governments to invest in facilities like libraries.
Right.
Yeah, so this is really, really important.
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask you, for people out there who are not library directors or maybe haven't been involved in advocacy and legislation before, maybe they're a children's or a teen librarian or work the reference desk, why is this important to them?
Well, I think first of all, we really have to remember that we're all in this together in the library field. Whether you're a reference librarian, whether you're a teen librarian, whether you're a young adult librarian, if you're brand new or if you've been in the profession for years, having a facility that meets the needs of your community and appropriately addresses the needs of the librarians, having appropriate ADA accessibility, having story time rooms that meet the needs of the community, having community rooms or study rooms. We all know as we go to work every day and do our jobs that we need these things. There was a survey done back in conjunction with the California Library Association's Legislative Committee back in 2016 that talked about infrastructure. And at that time, it became clear that there were over 500 different ready to go projects that needed funding, upwards to about $4 billion worth. Now, the likelihood of getting a $4 billion influx is probably slim. But what we can do is put forward legislation that allows libraries and their districts to maybe get individual funding at a lower threshold, voting threshold, and then put that money into the facilities. So as a children's librarian, having a story time space that addresses handicapped and strollers and maybe your increased attendance, these are really important things. Having bathrooms that are ADA accessible for our clients. I mean, these are things that are essential to creating an environment. And if you think, oh, well, it's not really me, it's not really my job, I don't really have to do that, I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to challenge you to say it is your job because it's all of our jobs. And when we come together and go out into the communities and talk to our legislators and say, give the stories, and they're not made up. We all have them. The stories that say how a better facility, how some improvement could make a huge difference in our ability to give the kind of customer service that we want to give. I challenge any librarian out there to say that it's not your job or that you shouldn't care. If we don't fight for ourselves, if we don't speak up, who's going to do it? And that's kind of what the legislative committee is about too. It's about empowering our members to feel like they have the tools to go out and legislate for our profession. Again, nobody's going to do it for us if we don't do it. So I challenge everybody to get out there and make it happen.
Jennifer, that's great. That's a really great call to action, and I hope that folks watching and folks who watch this later will think to themselves, like, I'm in. I'm totally in.
Right.
I want all of our membership in. So how can they be involved? How can people who maybe never had the experience of going on a legislative visit be involved? What can they do?
Well, I think first and foremost, you have to care. You really do. You have to care. And then you have to do what it takes to educate yourself about that. The CLA website is a fantastic resource. There's a tab specifically for legislation, and under there, there's one very specifically for what we call Day in the District. Now, day, it's not so much a day as it is a span of time. At one point, we really did try to reach out to every one of the local legislatures on the same day. But honestly, schedules and whatnot almost make that impossible. So we've really expanded it to more of like a couple of months. But what we do is we give you the information there on how you would reach out to your local legislator. And what we mean by that is in their local offices. So right in Torrance, right in LA, we're encouraging you to find out who your legislator is, to make an appointment in their office, and to go and talk to them. And I know people say, oh, that's a little political for me, or I don't really feel comfortable doing that. And again, all I can say is, remember, politicians work for us. We are their constituents. We're the ones that they should be listening to and reacting to. And so if you think, oh, it's not really my place to walk into a politician's office, again, I'm going to challenge you to say it is exactly your place to walk in there. And we give you the tools to do it. So on the website, in the CLA website under Advocacy, you'll find tips for reaching out to your legislator. You'll find sample letters on how to write to a legislator. You'll find topics of conversation, what we're pushing. And of course, that's the SCA 3, but also some other things that you might talk about. And we really encourage you to bring the story. Because when you show up and you have an iPad with photos of story times, of sensory story times, of outreaches, of local author visits, and you can show your legislator, this is the kind of impact that we have on our community. Everybody loves libraries, but we want them to support libraries. And the only way we can get that support is when we, the library professionals, and maybe somebody from your friends, somebody from your commission, somebody from your advisory group, when the local constituents go to that legislator's office and with as much passion and truth as possible, tell them what libraries are doing in their community, that's how we're going to get that support. And I know people also might say, well, wait a minute, but I'm not the director, I'm not the deputy director, I'm not even the department manager. You know, do I have the right to do that? Is that really something that I should do? Again, I'm going to say, yeah, I think it is. Now, I will say, probably touch base with your supervisor and maybe ask and see, is anybody doing legislative visits? If they're not, maybe it's because they're just waiting for somebody to step up to the plate. Because people are scared, or they feel like it's not their jobs, or they feel like they don't know enough. But that's not true, because what you know is how you affect the people in your community every day. And sometimes the teen librarian who's out there doing poetry slams has more to say than maybe even the director. So I say be passionate and bring your story to your legislators. Day in the District is an awesome opportunity to do that. Get with other members of your library. Find out if anybody's going. Offer to go. Offer to be a part of the solution, because that's what we need, is people to kind of step up and do that. And then just speak your truth, because that's what's going to resonate.
Yeah, I think it's great too if you can ask your library director or your supervisor, how can I support our library's Day in the District effort?
Absolutely.
If people can't actually do the physical visits, cards, phone calls, letters, what are other ways to reach out?
Well, I think everything that you just said. There's opportunities to email people, to fax them, to write them. Again, on the CLA website, under the legislative tab, there's a whole list of senators that are a part of the committee that are going to be hearing about SCA 3. So those are the ones, and we've given you their names, we've given you their addresses, we've given you their numbers. Those are the ones that we're really trying to target with our personal stories, to say, hey, this is how this is going to make an impact on libraries. You can write people, you can call them, you can send them postcards, you can send them faxes, anything to get our name out there, to get our story out there, and to garner more support for, you know, the issues that the libraries are fighting for. And, you know, find out your local communities who's talking about legislation, who's doing it, and how you can be a part of it. As you said, reaching out to the management of your library and saying, you know, I'm interested. Often I feel that sometimes that's all they're really waiting for, is for somebody to step up, for somebody to show some interest in it and actually say, I'm willing to put the time in on this. all of those things are going to be amazing for libraries.
So I know another thing that's happening this year are some training sessions for people who still might want some additional help. Can you tell us more about that?
I sure can. We are very fortunate this year to be partnering with Every Library, which is an amazing organization working on legislative issues. And Patrick Sweeney from Every Library has agreed to come to California and do 3 training sessions. Now, I know you'll see this backwards, but you'll see the basic design of it, that lovely swoop right there on the CLA website, right on the front page. There's information about how you can sign up. We've got 3 of them coming up on March 9th, on March 10th, and March 13th. And they're kind of spread out over California. So highly encourage you to take a look at that, sign up. There's a nominal fee. It's totally worth it. But what Patrick's able to do is really give you more of the nuts and bolts of how to make that legislative visit a success, of what you should do, how you should present yourself, what you should be talking about, really core information. So an awesome opportunity to learn more about what it means to be an outreach, outreach for legislators from an organization that knows what they're talking about. So thank you for the reminder, Helen, because that's an awesome opportunity for people to check in and get that training.
So it sounds like if people visit the CLA website, they can find information about the 3 training sessions coming up.
Yes, they can.
They can find information about how they can do a day in their district with their legislators, talking points, letters, and other documents to support the visits and the communication. If people have more questions, how do they get them answered? How do they reach out and find more information if they need it?
Well, first and foremost, I would say they can contact me. I mean, as chair of the legislative committee, I'm available to anybody 24 hours a day. Maybe not quite 24, but close to 24. Jennifer Addington at the Palos Verdes Library District. My information should be on the website. If it's not, I'll make sure that it is. But yes, I think firstly, you can always contact me. You can email me anytime. And I can either direct you in the right direction or, hopefully give you the information that you need right then and there. I would probably start there because I think I could be a very good switchboard operator and put you in the right place. A lot of information is on the CLA website, though. There's so much there. You can start there and then contact me if you have anything that you want to talk about, any questions or concerns, and I'm happy to have those conversations.
Thank you, Jennifer, for your time today. I'm, again, Helen McAlery, the CLA president, and we've been here in conversation today with Jennifer Addington, who is our Advocacy and Legislation Chair, and we want to thank you for tuning in. And our video will be available on YouTube for anybody who would like to share it, watch it later, and I welcome any feedback that you have about the videos that we're doing, and thank you so much for tuning in. Bye, everybody.